Screw it. I'm calling from Los Angeles, and I'm having a little problem under the name ThatUmbrellaGuy. I sent him my phone number at least 20 times in the chat and told him to call me. He ignored me. I'm a man. I filed the report. If you guys could take a look at it and give me a call back, I would love to hear what you guys can do to help us. We really need to kind of stop this guy at least until Monday. I told him to call me. I'm a man. I'm a man.
All right, how's it going, folks? Welcome to a Saturday edition. When I was young indeed, man. I always liked that. I mean, you think about it. Like, I grew up in a time where the internet was not really a thing at all. I mean, you didn't have it in your hands all the time here. You didn't have immediate access. And the crazy, it probably existed, but it didn't seem to be right at your doorstep. Nowadays, my Lord. So tonight, we're going to be talking about, what if I were to tell you that 25,000 people reportedly had their data compromised by the person that Meghan Markle and Amber Heard hired to do their dirty work. They went after people for a while. They turned to politics for a new grift, tried to launch their own little Twitter, and boom, apparently from what's being reported, they bought an $89 existing ripoff of Twitter, rife with security issues, and compromised the data of 25,000 people. Well, plus 25,000 plus. Ah, what a mess. They're in damage control saying, oh my God, we're going to call the FBI. I'm going to report these people. Yeah, that's not how it works. When people find a leak of your problem, it's amazing, the damage control. What's amazing to me, too, is that people actually are buying that. They're like, oh, yeah, you do a good job. And it's like, yeah, I hope you enjoy having your data sold online, man, because, oh, Lord. And I mean, we're talking, like, what amazed me, even looking at Spoutable. You know what's spouting off? We're going to talk about that in a minute. Let's hit this funny topic first, though. Banned for trafficking Eliza Bleu. This surprised me last night. This actually is a legit headline, by the way. This is legit. When you look at the title, 100% real. Not making that up at all. Yellow Flash was banned for trafficking Eliza Bleu. I mean, look at this thing. So he's been banned already once. He's been banned again. What's up, Bad Goat? Thanks for I've tugged. Did you see the chat nail the opening like a well-oiled machine? They do, man. I actually love watching the beginning with everybody like participating. It's a lot of fun. I actually like the beginning. Some people tell me, oh man, if you shorten the beginning, it could be like, say, there was one commenter, and again, this is not a negative. I understand what they're saying. They were like, well, look at Rogan. He's successful. Well, I interact with the chat. Rogan runs a show. There's a difference. I run a show where you're part of you're my guest on the show too. You're part of the show. And part of that is if I don't do like an opening and talk, then for the first 5 minutes, especially that first 5 to 10 minutes, you get a million. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? So 3 minutes of opening, maybe 5 if we're going long that day. And it gives people time to situate. And then after that, we still get a few, but not as bad. So Yellow Flash ban. Look at this. Now read this here. Read this. I mean, just read it. Hey, John, thanks for the 5. Here's a little, keep the channel going. Thank you. Oh, you want to hear something funny real fast? So I was watching another show and I'd left my phone on it. Okay. And when I opened up, I always watch my intro and I watch the chat on my phone. It's easier for me to keep up with. Okay. So when I was doing that, what I thought was really funny is, well, it wasn't really funny at first. When it opened up, it showed me the wrong chat. It showed me my intro across the top, but it had the other chat, and it showed me all their super chats, and it was a huge channel. So they had like, I don't know, they had like $300 or $400 across the top and like 150 gifted members. I was like, oh my God, what happened? Then YouTube crushed my soul. So thank you, YouTube. I appreciate that. Oh, it was so weird. I was like, what the hell? 2012, thanks too. Have you read some of the DMs in your yeah, I read the I'm gonna add one thing to that you put on there the other day too. I think it's actually legit. So look at this here though. Yellow Flash is banned for posting a picture, Eliza Bleu, and noting only $500 a night. Right? He's talking about, so Eliza Bleu apparently worked as an escort. Now, me, I don't really care. I don't care about a person's background there. I don't think it affects their activism in any way, shape, or form. But when you open up, what happens is when you open up that groundswell, everything comes out. Everything comes out in the wash, and people found that. In fact, they found there's I don't even want to pull it up because the Twitter is like, on Twitter, you can post a lot of things that you can't put on YouTube. Let's just say it that way. They aren't friendly whatsoever. And there was a place back in 2015 that was showcasing Eliza and other folks, and yeah, it was definitely something. You can find a lot of that. I think the Quartering posted it, but Yellow Flash put a link to this place and noted the $500 a night thing that she was getting. I mean, he's noting it there. Well, Twitter banned him for it. Again, this is after he's already been banned once, so he gets him another ban. This is a 12-hour ban, I believe. And on top of that, he had his YouTube channel targeted. Good Lord. Forgot to mute my phone. On top of that, he gets this. But if you look at the reason here, like read the reason at the top. He got banned for violating our policy on illegal or certain regulated goods and services. Now, what's the good or service being put in here? It would be Eliza Bleu. So Twitter thinks that he was legitimately trying to traffic Eliza Bleu and sell her on Twitter. They banned him for trafficking, essentially. So now, I mean, we can say legitly, we've seen one instance of Eliza Bleu and trafficking. Damn that Yellow Flash. Oh my God. I was live last night talking to Yellow Flash. We were on a Rumble and he got banned. And he was like, oh shit. It was amazing. John, thanks for the 10. I've worked as a victim advocate. The situation does not make sense to me. You have more experience in these situations. Did I miss something in my training? What do you mean in the Eliza Bleu stuff? The Eliza Bleu stuff is not about her activism. Her activism, there may be a lot of questions in her activism, but the Eliza Bleu situation is not about activism, if that's what you mean. It's about people just questioning, just period. They were like, yo, what's going on with your background? Because it looks like lies. It looks like the whole background. She didn't go with advocate. She also went with survivor. I do this because I'm a survivor. Well, when somebody asked about how her background, like some of this stuff, fit in to their stance against trafficking, how does that fit, with your past? They got banned. The first ban came in, and then they started threatening litigation because of non-consensual photographs. From there, it has snowballed, and so much has come out, if that's what you mean. Now, if you mean the Twitter thing itself, this is absurdity. This is the system in Twitter. It's either an automated system that's doing this. I think with all the Eliza Bleu crap that's been happening, I think you have to go even further down that rabbit hole, though, and you have to say, man, maybe some of this is intentional. Just looking for reasons to ban people. I mean, we've seen that kind of stuff before. Blast Radius, thanks for 5. When Musk didn't get rid of trust and safety altogether, I knew there was something not right. Old boss, same as the new boss. Lord. I had apparently people didn't know I was live. You could hear them like yelling for the kids. Yeah, actually, Twitter trust and safety is going to exist in some way, shape, or form. The thing is that it needed a significant overhaul, and it needed transparency. That's where your big issue arose, because there is no transparency in what they do. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The lack of transparency and the lack of they're transparent in their motives right now. They're trying to shield for people in connection in the hierarchy of Twitter. They're connected to it. You can see that, but in the transparency of what they do, in their actions or reactions, yeah, that's a real problem. They promised something they didn't deliver. 2012, thanks for the 2. There's another DM just now. I'll check out like there was one I really wanted to look at though, because I thought it was a cool one. Now we did yesterday have one thing that was, I mentioned this, but I do feel like this needs a little follow up on it. Yesterday we did have the confirmation, I'm going to say, that there will be litigation coming forward. When I say there's going to be litigation coming forward, we had here, let me pull this up. We had Twitter's trust and safety actually sound off on this issue. I want to pull this up because I think this is actually very important to note. They've noted this twice, and they've kind of confirmed this now, that they're saying, oh, well, the reason we're doing this is because litigation. They brought it up once, they brought it up before, and this is actually a fascinating answer to this. You had 2012 noting that them saying that they're locking accounts here, they're doing all of this. Well, they're not actually involving themselves in a legit way. They're not openly doing what they're supposed to do. They're modeling deceptive trade practices. Because they're telling you, we don't suspend reported content unless it's clear the user knew the content was illegal. That's a standard that you have to apply to the way that they've been handling themselves. They tell you openly, this is the standard that we work with this, and yet you'll notice that people, they haven't gotten removal requests necessarily. Some people have been out and out banned for this stuff. It violates their own trade practices, the ones that they themselves, as Twitter trust and safety, this is a spokesperson for Twitter. They're discussing Twitter, again, their rules. They're lying about their own method for handling this stuff. And I thought that was actually an interesting thing, considering, they're talking out of both sides of their mouth, essentially. And when you do that, it kind of creates a problem. See, they've actually backed this up. If you missed this, I think this is probably one of the most telling slip ups from this whole situation because of what they're telling you is actually going on. And they're telling you they know a lot more behind the scenes than you do, for sure. So you had this conversation about this picture being pulled down, which doesn't matter. That right there this is how it starts off. But you have Frank who posted this, comes back and says, hey, can you please give us updates on what's going on with this Eliza Bleu stuff? Like what's happening here? And this seems to have reached levels of corruption and platform manipulation as Brittany Venti, Yellow Flash, and others, they were still locked out. And yes, indeed, there are people that are still locked out. They're asking people, even at the best case scenario with removal, they're telling you to admit to wrongdoing. It's not just saying remove something. You need to admit to wrongdoing when you remove something. So, there's layers to that. Some people are not, they're like, I'm not doing that at all because there is no wrongdoing associated with this whatsoever. And they're like, hey, receipts, they've been provided against your claims. So then you had, I think there should be some clarity from the team. From the outside perspective, it does seem like some dynamics shown on Twitter files are still at play. So the things they denounce, they look like they're in play. I could be wrong, with this whole ordeal with Eliza Bleu has hurt trust from many users, with some canceling Twitter Blue in protest. So you have Ella Irwin make this statement. And this statement, again, she's clarified certain words. There's a word in here. I saw somebody, the reason I say it this way is because I saw somebody trying to say, we don't really know the definition of the word case when she uses it. Yeah, we do. She defined it in an earlier tweet of hers that I just showed you there. But she says, understand, the challenge here is that we can't discuss the specifics of a legal or criminal case. You see that? This is a mess up with them telling you, hey, litigation. Now, that's fascinating considering they've acted against multiple people on Twitter. If they're telling you, again, World Star Hip Hop is going to be sued, but their actions against other people, it seems it very much carries the implication that other people, there's a threat to sue. Now, there hasn't been any action that we have seen. We have seen no legal filing whatsoever that has gone toward any of the people that have been acted against. We have seen no posts on that. I would think we would have seen that by now. I tell you what, if I got a cease and desist or anything, I'd plaster that sucker all over live, I'd dance on it too. I'd dance on it. I would. I'd do a little jig right on top of it for you. You could laugh at it. You'd be like, "Oh my gosh, is that Doug Jansen?" I'll be like, "Heck to the yeah!" You want to see what it would look like? Here, there's gonna be some music play for a second. But this is my best, I guess, recreation of exactly how that would look. Check this out. That would be me. Oh, my Lord, man, for real. The professional Zilch, thanks for the 10. The Chinese spy balloon got shot down. Must have Eliza Bix on board. That's the best way to take them down, right? Twitter's like, hey, you know what? We'll lend you SpaceX to take that sucker down. For real. I mean, this whole situation it's been crazy to watch. And the situation, again, you still have, here's the problem with the internet, period. The internet has an attention span of about 12 nanoseconds, I mean, and then people act like this stuff is all, okay, well, we've already heard about it and whatnot. Why hasn't the internet moved on? Because it hasn't. It hasn't even really gotten started. You still have people getting banned over ridiculous nonsense. You have the Twitter question. What the hell's going on? Twitter's also talking about litigation. Hey, litigation is coming. You also have the questions about why isn't media picking this up? I mean, you saw some media platforms did pick it up, but many others, they ghosted this thing in absolute silence. I mean, you had Daily Beast, of course, pick it up. You had The Hill. They talked about it. But by and large, there's one side of a conversation that hasn't even spoken at all. And in fact, we had another piece of that puzzle drop in today that I thought was fascinating on the quartering side of it. So if you've been keeping up, if you've been keeping up with how this stuff is played out, you had the quartering and temple, with all the temple stuff that's been going on. Like temple, if you don't know, temple had her on his show. After he had her on his show, after all of this drama blew up, after all of the crazy blew up, he at first pretended that he didn't know anything about it. I mean, like, hey, I have no idea. Then we find out, of course, he has an embedded writer with the show that is with Eliza Bleu. I mean, she's had that person there while all of this stuff has been transpiring. Then he came on. He kind of said, "Well, I would be covering this more, but that dang old quartering." I mean, he flaked on us. I mean, he deleted all this, by the way, if you didn't keep up with that. So he deleted. He said, people want us to talk about the Eliza Bleu story. We had the quartering booked for yesterday, booked a month in advance. He flaked on us. Now, remember, a month in advance would have had nothing to do with this story, by the way. Absolutely nothing. So it insinuates that we would cover this, but that quartering. Now, they could invite anybody else on, but they didn't. And they make it sound like, again, it's all down to the quartering. And again, reality, you had a picture come out with Eliza Bleu, with the writer, Timcast, Shane Cashman. You also had Eliza Bleu come out. There's a new development. I'm working on the background here because I want people to understand where this is coming from. You had Eliza Bleu actually come out and defend the writer, which tells you that this thing she's telling you essentially they did a character, a puff piece. It's people will look at that. Some people were like, "Oh man, the puff piece. Oh, don't say that. A puff piece. It's a character piece. It's written as a one-sided perspective on somebody. That's not a negative framework. That's essentially just going in, interviewing somebody and boosting up whatever story they had." Now, I actually hope that thing comes out because it'll lock in even more groundwork of her story, some of which has probably already been disproven, but you'll have more things that it's just like the Amber Heard story. When you look at this, and again, it's not comparing one to the other, but it's looking at the detail. You notice in the beginning, like in 2016 there, when you had 3 accounts that were talked about, 3 vague items, they were harder to disprove. But the more and more stuff that you lock down, the more and more stuff that you put out there and give people timeline, frame of reference, well, I mean, that's where your problem. And if she goes in and she contradicts anything that she said in the past, again, it's just there's no win in going that way. There's absolutely no win for them, Shane Cashman or Timcast. What's up, Jenny, by the way? Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for your membership. Welcome to Tugs Thugs. Also, Joni, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for your membership. And welcome to Tugs Thugs, too. So this is what they said. Quickly, I'm just going to read it all in one shot. Please give Shane Cashman a few days before the article is published. You notice, by the way, this came up on the 2nd, so we've had a couple of days now. I'm legitimately curious if it will launch. It took us 2 days to go over the first 2 decades of my life, and the last 2 decades have been equally intense. He did many interviews outside of me as well. Book worth of writing to do. He's a good man, but he hasn't been easy on my loved ones close to me or me. He was tough. He was tough enough where he pulled out details of my story that I didn't know existed because I wasn't the one with the information, which I would like to know how that works, by the way. I live this, but I don't know. I mean, back in the womb, back when she was a fetus, did you know? Her first words were defending the weak and the poor. You'd be like, "Oh man, that Eliza." To be clear, I haven't gotten paid by anyone involved in the article, nor was it requested or offered. No one interviewed for the article got paid. Timcast is not monetizing the article, specifically to my knowledge right now. I wouldn't mind if they did. They just aren't. Yeah. Nobody's monetizing it right now because it looks bad, by the way. It looks very, very bad. I mean, really, that's what it's down to. You've also had there was another little piece of this too. So you have this just happened, by the way. I just saw this, just saw it right before I came on, and it just now connected to me with this part of this. Let me pull this up real fast. So that Star Wars girl was actually posting about this whole situation, saying, they keep saying they can't have guests on and stuff, but they could have Brittany Venti or other people. Well, she didn't use any names, but check this out here. I thought this was very fascinating. So the person that books for Timcast actually replies before blocking that Star Wars girl, but that Star Wars girl said, let me pull this up here. She said, if I was running a show and I wanted a guest on, but my booker wouldn't book them because she's jealous, see you next Tuesday. That's her proving she can't do her job. She's not an asset at that point. She's a liability. And you're talking about Brittany Venti. You would assume, although it doesn't say her name, it just has the hashtag free Brittany Venti. Okay. Well, you have the person that booked this show coming out, and that's who Cassandra is here. She said, maybe nobody wants her. You people are lame. You're lame. You're lame for asking Tim. Temple built Eliza Bleu up. Okay. Absolutely. 100% built her up. And now they're trying to wiggle out. So then you have this newer development too from the quartering today. So the quartering is apparently, there were questions about whether or not all of this, what this was about. Okay. And he was saying, he was talking, he was like, I'm not sure what's going on with Tim. I'm not sure what's going on with Temple, but I think Tim may have blocked me. So this is how it starts out this morning. Check this out. And it just develops over the day. This is a fascinating just show that I can't stop watching. I love it. I love it. Like, when I'm looking at it, I don't know Tim Pool from anybody. And this isn't taking a shot at Tim Pool necessarily. Although I would love to know how you justify being somebody that calls out the nastiness and the vitriol in life. And yet when you boosted up somebody that told you on his show, she actually said something to the effect of, what if I was faking it? What would that matter? My advocacy, it speaks for itself, right? So you have weeks later, and she was doing a denouncement tour. She was saying, you folks need to denounce this person. In that case, Tate. You need to denounce them because not only what he did, but because he's a fraud. See, there's two components to that. So again, you need to call out frauds. Okay, well, if you're calling out frauds, then that needs to stick all the way around, right? I mean, if that's what you're platforming, and if you don't want to get in the middle of it, you don't want to have you don't want to sound off necessarily. That's what guests are for. Let Brittany Venti on there. Holy crap, she'd have plenty to say. She would have quite a bit to say on that subject, and it would be very vocal. It would be pretty probably entertaining in that. And again, he doesn't have to take a stance. That's not what I'm talking. See, people confuse what I say with this too. I'm not saying that Tim Pool has to take a stance. I'm saying, why are you ghosting this? This is actually the second time that something like this has happened. He had a controversy pop off with, if you've seen you may not know who the person is, but when you see the pictures of Eliza Bleu with a giant beard, that giant beard is from Jack Murphy. There was a huge controversy about him. He ended up having some interesting past, ended up looking like a complete and total fraud. He got wrecked online. And when he got wrecked online, all of that tied back to Tim and the gang. Well, Tim and the gang kind of ghosted that conversation. And what's weird is it didn't hurt them anyway. Typically, stuff like that, it following up would hurt you, or lack thereof would actually hurt you. But it didn't. And I'm not also blaming somebody for having a guest on a show. Like, you don't know who a guest is sometimes. You don't know that they have a bunch of crazy crap buried, even if it's just buried right beneath the surface. You don't know. I don't hold you responsible for that. But I do think a follow-up would be in order, especially, with the bannings, because Tim Pool made a lot of declarations, especially around the beer bug. He told people that when it came to folks being fired because of I'm going to word this carefully, because of shots. He said, well, you got to take a real stand out there. You got to show your face. You got to take real stands out there. Otherwise, this doesn't count. He encouraged people to drop their jobs, damage their lives, make their families starve in a situation like that. But this mofo won't have somebody back on to talk about a guest that he had before. I have a real problem with that. If you encourage every man to ruin his life on something, then buck the fuck up and do something here. Especially when I watch my friends get hit. You buck the fuck up, or you are a fake. That's the way I see it. I'm just cutting through the bullshit. That's the way I see it. You've been telling people for over a year now. Again, you got to put everything on the line. We ain't putting shit on the line to have Brittany Venti on the freaking show. It kills me. Kills me for that. What's up, Nate? Thanks for the 5. This is so insane. Indeed. What's up, Nate, by the way? I'm definitely... The second half of what we cover here today, the Bouzy stuff, I really have to give Nate... I mean, those guys have taken a shovel and dug up everything on ground. Well, I wouldn't say everything. There's so much more, but they found so much. Bot farming, the freaking escort, quote unquote, dating service. I mean, there's so much there. Props to you, man. It's been good to watch. It's been entertaining to see somebody that tried to ruin many of us get owned by someone else. Thank you. You've done an excellent service. 3-Eyed Catfish, thanks for 2. It's live at Dino Pong. It's live. What's live? Let me see something real quick. I want to see what's live. It's live at... Let me see what that was. I know what that's in reference to. It could be in reference to nothing, but I want to know what that's about. Let me see. I'll check that out later on. Yeah, I have to check through that and see exactly what's there. But I'm curious what that's about. I always like knowing what stuff's about with that. And 2012, thanks to I plan to call out Tim Pool. Why would Tim Pool support his guest lying to his audience? You can't be a reporter and not seek truth. This is BS. Well, I don't understand the follow-up, or the lack thereof. That's what really throws me off on these cases. So anyway, quartering, before I get sidetracked and, on that. I mean, for real though, I have watched, you should know by I ride hard with my friends. If you're a friend of mine and you get hit by somebody, I will go to fucking war for you. That's what these platforms, that's what we have to do. That's the only way that we survive in this social media climate. You get hit, you go to war. I've watched multiple people that are allies get hit. I will war for them, but my friends, people like Flash, Camelot, I like Chrissy Meyer too. I know that she would freaking buck up and go to war as well. And there's more of you. I mean, there's armies of folks. That doesn't even count the privacy strikes and more. Like I said, I will mount up and go to war for you. And it irritates me that somebody that is out there that has the power to stop the bans. If Tim Pool spoke up, it might do nothing, but the size of his platform and the connection, and maybe that's the problem. Maybe he's afraid of breaking up connections too. A lot of people are afraid of that right now, because when you start pulling at these threads, you're pulling at threads not only of Eliza Bleu, but you're pulling at threads from from Twitter, from Musk. There's damage you could do, but it needs to be done, especially if you talk about yourself as an investigative reporter. So anyway, Quartering posts this morning. He's like, yo, Timcast, this is how it starts out. I can't message you. You know, I assume you didn't block me. You know, I'm assuming you didn't block me out there. So something might be up with your Facebook. FYI, it says this person is unavailable on Messenger, so I can't get back to you on your question. Your question. So you have this goes on a minute. And then as time goes forward, give me 1 second. Let me pull up the actual tweet here instead of rolling through. Twitter does the worst job of that was really weird. Can you still hear me? I just had the weirdest thing happen right now. The strangest thing. So while I was broadcasting, you may not have been able to hear it, but I had an interruption there, and I actually had my Twitter connection severed for a minute, but I'm still live. I can see myself still live. But I also heard I thought for a minute like I opened up too much stuff, except I didn't open anything, you know. It was very bizarre. I was like, wait a minute, did I lose my connection? I mean, it was weird. Like my Twitter, I was like, oh shit, did I get banned live? Well, maybe. No, I didn't get banned live. But I something came through my headphones. It was very weird. So, man. Anyway, that was very bizarre. Okay, let me pull this back up here. I was like, what the heck? I thought I got banned live for a second there. Or I lost my connection or something. But again, I could see myself live. That was very weird. What's up, 2012? Thanks for two. Tim the Trash Troll. Well, I mean, again, I've never, Tim Pool wouldn't reach down into lowly peon depths and pick up people like myself. And that's fine. You know, we don't run the same circles. I don't particularly begrudge some of his stances. But again, I did begrudge him telling just regular, ordinary people during the beer bug, if you had if you had any kind of blowback to the shot, again, that's not getting into that either. The message was, if you had problems with that, you can't just set over here anonymously. You have to use your own names. You have to risk your own jobs. You have to be out there and you have to put everything on the line. That's the only way it'll change. I thought that was a terrible message, because you know what? When you lose everything because of something, you know what happens? People like this don't stand with you. Hell, they don't stand with you when they cause the problem. So never listen to a mofo telling you to do something. Never, ever take advice like that. That is a terrible thing, because again, when you get banned because of that message, or I'm sorry, when you get not banned, but when you get life hit, when you can't fill up your refrigerator, I'm sure he's not going to pay your bills. But hey, you know, it's a nice stance for them, and the message is hypocrisy, because lo and behold, he blames the quartering. You go forward a few days, he apparently asked the quartering something. Then the quartering is like, wait a minute. He did block me. He not only blocked me on Facebook, he's blocked me now on Twitter. So what he thought was an accident is actually happening. And you can see that right there. Yeah. He's been blocked, which is a totally I think he's mad. My personal thing in here too is that now there are people that take up for Timcast. Oh, well, maybe he's just tired of the quarterings. Maybe he's tired of it because he's social media drama. So much drama. Fucking Tim Pool is social media drama. Every time there's something that comes up and he thinks he can make money off of it, he does. And I don't begrudge that. I don't care, man. I love looking at like stupid and stuff online. It's fun. But this is definitely connected to the guy Eliza Bleu stuff. This hasn't happened in a vacuum. It hasn't played out a certain way. I've watched it play out. You had Tim Pool throw him under the bus, blame the quartering. The quartering was like, why are you blaming me at first? He was like, yes, I flaked out on you. I was working. I have a busy schedule. I forgot. I do that, man. I feel like an asshole every time I do it, but I do that, man. I've had many of it. Some of the people maybe in the chat listening, you may have scheduled something with me and I forgot, you know? And I did that to Greg Ellis. Okay. I felt like an absolute asshole for doing that because I had a stream set up with Greg Ellis. I was supposed to have him on, and I mean, life got in the way, and I forgot. I totally forgot. I wrote it down, but I forgot it. And like I said, happens. You know, you definitely don't want to blow off people, but God, especially, for the quartering, the Tim Pool connection is good for him. I mean, the not necessarily being connected to Tim Pool, but going on there and getting exposure, it worked out for him anyway. He can sell a lot of coffee. He can do whatever. It works. And Melissa, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for that membership. Welcome to Thugs, by the way. And also, Best After Dark. Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. And welcome to Thugs, too. Thank you. But he also followed up on this and said, what am I supposed to think here? I can't follow up. I can't communicate with the questions or anything like that. And it's like, yeah, he did indeed block me. So the quartering not only followed up on that, he told people, yes, this definitely is connected to that. And I mean, it's 100% connected because it's not just happening in a vacuum with that stuff either. You also had the deletions of messages. I thought that was nuts. And on top of that, you had Tim Pool's own followers. So the people that super chatted more, this is what irritates me more than anything. Okay. This irritates me with channels. If you super chat a person, and I hate channels that don't actually get to super chats. And many of the larger channels, they will ignore super chats, which is nuts if you think about it. Oh, people are throwing money your way? You're going to ignore them? Well, that's something, right? Well, as Quartering put there, I mean, he made a lot of money with people wanting answers. Again, people super chatting saying, and they're super chatting large amounts of money to be seen. So the question remains up there. And that's being noted. He said on Timcast on Friday that Jeremy's followers have been spamming his super chats for days. So he blamed people for throwing money his way. What the fuck, dude? People just want to know what's going on. But of course, they're the Quartering's followers. It's all because of the court. People are throwing money at you, asking questions. Oh, man, I wish I had that problem. Maybe I'll just ignore some shit the next time it goes up and somebody can throw money at me. I mean, what the hell? How can you complain? Oh, he was mildly annoyed. He's mildly annoyed that people are, well, don't give him money then. I mean, that's, and like the Quartering was like, well, I assume that he refunded those thousands of dollars then. I mean, he's like, he said that there are other things to talk about, and he wasn't trying to focus on it. Even though he's the one who brought this stuff up. He himself was like, yo, you want to have a discussion about Eliza Bleu? And I mean, and he's the one who brought it out on social media. That's the thing that made this stick out so much. The Quartering back, with the Quartering discussing it, the Quartering didn't bring it up first. The Quartering brought up his own ban. But the Quartering didn't bring Timcast. He was pretty nice about it. Nicer than I am. Like I said, I don't understand how you could ignore this situation. And again, I think I'm torn on what I think the reason is behind there. It's all damage control in some way. But typical damage control is somebody going out somebody when you distance yourself from a situation, you could do that in 2 sentences. You could be like, I've seen what's going on with this. It's developed into a crazy situation. We did an interview with this person. It'll give their perspective on background and stuff. And if there's a follow-up conversation that needs to happen, then we'll look into having that. And I appreciate all of you being involved. I mean, just something like that. You don't. You also don't assume that the people that follow the quartering don't follow you too. When you're like, oh, those terrible quartering fans, they've been spamming money at me. Yeah, you don't assume that people that throw money at you are doing that because of terrible intention. Again, it's a strange idea, when that comes up. It's a bizarre way of looking at it. Hey, what's up, Stacy D? Thank you for those 5 gifted memberships, by the way. I love watching them land. Thank you for that. I appreciate that too. I've been enjoying it. Here's a question too. I've been leaving up live streams. Now, of course, YouTube doesn't monetize them. So if I don't do videos in the day, but I've been enjoying live streaming more. Have you all been enjoying live streams? I've been leaving them up. The numbers have maintained live. So it's not, I never took them down because of numbers to get people to watch live. I took them down because mass flagging. But I talked to my MCN, and in this, there are a few precautions. The things that really get targeted are legal documents. They really get mass flagged, and you have to be very careful because they'll contain email addresses and all kinds of stuff, So when you bring one of those up, you really have problems. But I've kind of enjoyed, I do videos here and there, but I'm enjoying live streaming a lot more. I'm wondering how everybody goes with that. What's up, Cat? Thanks for the 5. Cha-ching! Exactly. Exactly. Rebel, thanks for the 50 there. Feed the clout goblin. Indeed. If you're really looking for something to feed, you could think about the needy, of course, but you could always play the clout goblin. Always. I love this. I'm getting so much mileage out of it. I love it. By the way, if you like that, ThatUmbrellaGuy.com. We definitely have it there. But when you look at this, again, the optic too, what's interesting is the optic. So the person that books for him, Cassandra Rules, the optic that they give is not discussing this too. Like if you go through their timeline, like here, they're doing it in replies. They're not really doing it in posts. See, here's the thing about Twitter too. A lot of people that casually use Twitter or are not there, I could understand either. But if you look through their timeline, they don't bring this stuff up on that. You actually have to page over to find the conversation. See, you can see when people are tweeting and replying. And they kind of buried this thing in replies. They don't actually directly tweet about this. They have a couple of times, but by and large, and they bury this conversation with just the level of chatting. This always makes me wonder when people have a controversy and they start just kicking out tweet after tweet after tweet. Yes, they could be busy online. Sometimes I get on that spree, but my God, look at all this in the last couple of hours. They started replying and they're like, oh, bury that conversation. That's what it looks like to me when it happens. It's really hard to find when they start answering people on it, but they do. They get in there and they do it sometimes. What's up, Shay? Thanks for the 2 months there too. Under My Umbrella, indeed. I love that song, by the way. I love how that intro part. Candy's Crafts, thanks for the 18 there. Thanks for being you. Hey, thanks for being you and being here. I appreciate you. Appreciate that for sure. Let's see. Dreadnought, thanks for the 5. The legendary Battle of the Clout Goblin. Another chapter in the Twitter wars. Also, did you see my earlier super chat or miss it? I hit one, but if I miss one, I'll look in again in just a minute, okay? 1 second. Stacy D, also thanks for 5. Time to spam your super chats. Indeed. The reason that I like going over super chats in the moment too. A lot of channels won't do that. You know, they're like, it's too disruptive. No, it's part of the conversation. I mean, if you have a guest on, that's different. But I don't know, man. I like just seeing what people are talking about. Now, that is still an ongoing situation. Like I said at the beginning of that conversation, we have people being banned still and over the weirdest shit. Now, that detracts sometimes. People are like, well, you know, that's not that may be an automated service. Okay, well, if we're just going to say that's an automated service, have you seen the amount of people again that got privacy? I did a live stream, so I'm not going to go through the entirety of that issue, but did you see all the names that got hit with privacy complaints? I mean, just the number of them was absolutely insane. I've seen bans come in. I've seen craziness pop off, but I have never seen banning and just craziness to this level. Like I was noting yesterday, there is a heavy scrubbing of accounts that are going on right now. It's beyond bot purges too. Like I can prove that just by people that I see disappearing. So perma bans. Yesterday, I noted this in my stream yesterday, but yesterday I was following 822 people when I went to sleep. When I woke up, I was following. So this would be me following. Like if I follow you, I was following 816 people. Now there are only two ways that happens. You either soft block me, which means you block and unblock me, and it would unfollow me, but that might happen with one person if I piss off some people. That hasn't ever happened on a large scale. It only happens like with one account normally if that happens. What really is happening is there are bans going on. Then I could see it in my follower account. You can always see this when it happens. So you'll notice here, just look at this. I want to just show you again the level of it. So if you look at my account, it was registering 149,485. Now this is in the middle of a scrub. It's starting to happen. You can catch Twitter when it does this, right? So if you refresh in that moment, though, you'll notice, see the number shifting back and forth. The number they were actively scrubbing numbers from 524 to 485. Just in that moment, there were that many people that were being removed. Now, would there be some bots in that? Potentially. But I don't follow bots. I don't follow every person that follows me. I follow people, that I've interacted with or just whatever. I know they're real people. So for you to get unfollowed, I don't typically unfollow people unless you have to do some crazy stuff. Disagreements don't get me to be like, ew, gross, get away. I mean, a lot of us disagree over a lot of different things, but at the end of the day, we can't agree on a couple of things. And those things are, even if you disagree on this subject, I don't give a crap. But I would hope that most people would look at something like this and they would see the level of privacy complaints coming in and they would know there's an issue. I think I'm missing some posts. So I was looking for a post where actually I had some answers to it. I was looking for one of my own posts, so I know I posted it. But I was looking for a post about the bannings or about the privacy complaints rather. And I'm noticing some of them are not there. That's not bizarre. I've noticed this before. I talked about it. So when the Red State article came out, I shared it 3 times. You can do that on Twitter. You can share stuff multiple times, comment on it. And I was trying to edit something and I boomered it up. So I ended up sharing it 3 times. I noticed it, but I never fixed it because I was like, who cares? I don't really care. I didn't really care. But then I went back and I was looking for that article. Now they pulled their article, but when you share and you comment, your comment will still be there. It'll just have a dead link. So I'm not just talking about a share. I'm talking about a share with comments. Well, when I went back I had one post with a dead link on it, but I had 2 posts missing. It was like they had never existed at all. And that tells you that there are posts being scrubbed. Now, if that sounds weird and conspiratorial to you, well, the quartering noted a problem like that. The quartering actually noted how when he was banned, if you're banned, if you're setting out a ban and you won't delete something, you can't interact with your Twitter account, period, right? So you can't go in and say delete a bunch of crap. Ordering though, and you can still, let's see, you can still see this on his metrics right here. Give me a second. Let me show this. You can actually see it in his metrics. He's setting out a ban. You can see when he comes back, my God, he came back with a lot of posts, 88 posts. But when he's setting it out, look at that. Nothing, but he has minuses coming up. Now, you typically won't be able to see it. Like if I'm posting 20 times a day and I have a post go down 19 versus 20, I'm not going to notice that. But if somebody's banned, you can see it. And he had posts going away. Something was actively taking that out. So there is something nefarious going on Twitter. I mean, it's just bizarre stuff. Now you have Eliza Bleu is still in the process of damage control. I think that she's going through, she today has scrubbed 15 tweets already. Check this out. You want to see some damage control going on today? Look at this. She's actively scrubbing it all. I don't know if anybody's caught that today. I noticed this earlier, though. Look at that. 15. She's going back and actively scrubbing things. She wants to take all of that down. What's up, Sina? Thanks for 2. Tim wants to boof. Eliza Bleu. Well, he definitely doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't want her boofing his platform, I guess. What's up, Kate? Hey, what's up, Snake Plush Kitten? I would rather go with. Thanks for the 5. When I was in 4th grade, 65 years ago, Journalism, Francisco Franco got my teacher to give me a C+ in spelling. Can I claim I was trafficked? You can indeed. That's terrible. It's funny. Grifty, thanks for the 5. Hey, Tug, thanks for not backing down for this stuff and for the follow on Twitter. Hey, you've done a good job. So props to you, old Grifty. I'm glad to see you still standing. For now, I'm waiting for all of us to get banned still. Backgo, thanks for the 5. Gifted memberships too. Thank you for that. I appreciate it for sure. Ninja, thanks for the 179. What are my thoughts on the Chinese balloon? I don't know, man. I have not kept up with all of that. That looks strange. I found that the world keeps turning no matter what kind of crazy and stupid politicians do or other countries do. I've lived, we we watched the Cold War, we've watched some hot wars flare up, and I mean, it's absurdity. It's all craziness, absurdity, getting down to the truth. It's a fascinating thing, but again, just even if it remotely touches on politics, a lot of times it I don't know. It just doesn't interest me. So I haven't gotten deep into that. Steve, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership and welcome to the Tuggenites, baby. Thank you. Cynthia, thanks for the super chat. Griff to the top, Tug. Indeed. Dreadnought, too. Thanks for the tweets go missing in the Clout Goblins triangle. Again, thank you there. Yes. Yeah, thanks for the 5 there. If there are other investors involved in the Twitter purchase, if that's the case, they're probably pissed right now. Well, you have to wonder. You have to wonder, like, you know that Elon sees this, and this is damage control. There's actually an article. Now, Variety is not the best source for this, but this is worrisome too. If we're talking about the idea of free speech, the free speech platform that is Twitter. Yeah. Now, again, it's Variety, so you need to take it as it comes. But if this ends up being true, this is actually a frightening post when you think about how this will affect your so-called free speech platform. Because, so there's reports coming up that Elon wants to charge businesses $1,000 per month. Again, we will see how the answer is to this, for a gold check mark. Now, you think about how this works out Because there are going to be people, well, that makes sense. Charge them more. They can do that. Well, first of all, what do you define a business as? Does that mean Walmart, or does that mean you or me if we run a YouTube channel? What is a business? In that, and he's going to add a new verification, like the old verification, only with high pay rates. We complained about a $15,000 buy-in for the old verification. Well, what would this come with? I mean, you think about this. So Warner Brothers, let's just say, in this potential world where you had $1,000 per month, they don't like what I have to say because it costs them money. They're paying a company $12,000 a year for promotion and everything else that comes up. What do you think happens to little old me or you? The freebie users, or even if we're using Twitter Blue. Okay, let's just say we're paying, if it's stuck at $8, who knows where it ends up, but at $8, let's just go there. So you're paying a little less than $100 a year. What do you think when that company who's paying $12,000 a year complains about you or a freebie user? What do you think happens there? Do you think that you get removed? Maybe not even removed. What about the conversation? Does the conversation get throttled? I mean, why would a company pay that much money if they don't get some kind of very appealing perk out of it? That's a scary proposition. That will work the opposite of free speech. You watch. That'll be a damn nightmare right there, because you know how it'll work out. Now, again, I want to see the answer to that, just to see, because, again, variety. I mean, I trust them about as far as I can throw them. But you know what? I trust Elon Musk about the same way. 1 second. I'm going to light something. All right, there we go. That is a cigar, by the way. That is not. If you think it's something else, that is not that. Just a note. Hey, Steve, thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to Tuggernauts. I don't know. Remember if I caught you there. Roman, too. Thanks for the 9 months. Tim Pool blocks the quartering like a beesh. This stuff just keeps getting better and better. Well, you also had. Okay, now I'm going to be fair about this before I say it, okay? When people were locking their accounts. So there's been a bug on Twitter. People have been voluntarily locking their accounts. All right. Well, when that came up, Tim Pool made a joke about blocking people. I'm going to show you something with Tim Pool involved in this. He made a joke about, hey, I'm going to block people that are doing that. Okay. Or I'm going to unfollow them. Okay. Well, check this out though. Here's his social blade metrics on there. Now, you're going to tell me that because of that, he blocked 36 people he was following? You think that was the case? Or maybe, just maybe, they fall into the quartering status. Maybe he has scrubbed close to 40 people in the last little while because he doesn't like the noise that's been coming with it. I mean, that's a lot of people to end up unfollowing. I said blocked, rather. Let me rephrase that. That's a lot of people to unfollow and drop off at the wayside. That comes from, that tracks unfollows and it tracks blocks. So the quartering's in there as a block for sure. So, I mean, that's a lot of people though, just to say, oh, I'm unfollowing you because of that. And that was said as a joke. And yet, I mean, if you look at the days when this stuff comes up, these happen on the days when you had the Eliza Bleu stuff kick up with the quartering. Seems a little bit of coincidence. I mean, I wonder what an investigative journalist would think about that. Now, color me, I'm not an investigative journalist, so I wouldn't know. I just look at things online, What's up, Dreadnought? Thanks for the 29 months. I want to take this chance to say thank you for all you do. I love this wonderful community. Together, we're stronger than any clout goblins. And that's actually true. When people, like I said, when people I know get hit, even if they don't, if I look at a situation, I think, man, that's messed up. I try to talk about it. But I do take it personally when people that, again, best case scenario, or rather worst case scenario, they're They're allies in the game, you know? I don't look at them. I'm not talking the enemy of my enemy, because a lot of times the enemy of my enemy is still my enemy. Who cares? I don't necessarily, I may see them as, yeah, they're useful against that person. They're doing they're doing the Lord's work today, baby, but they're still, you know, the devil on 364 days of the year is still the devil. You know what I mean? So I don't look at it that way. But there are a lot of people out there that I may not talk to a lot. We may overlap, fighting the same kind of crazy. I would consider them allies at worst. But many people, you know, that are out there too. I mean, people have gone to bat for you, or people that you know, you live stream with it. Those friends, yeah, man, you got to go to war. Because we face off in these fights. We don't just face off with like true influencers. I know people throw these words around so often, you know, social influencer, but we have real influencers out there. We're talking about people who they go in and they change the very fabric of society. We face off against that all the time. We faced off against some of the most powerful political organizations and things like the ACLU, at one time the richest man in the world, and on and on. Multi-billion-dollar corporations, you know, people with true power online. And yeah, we can't stand alone, because you know what? One of them hits you, and they will hit you one day. You find yourself standing alone, you're going to stand alone. I mean, that's why I don't, like I said, I don't begrudge Tim Pool. I wanted to show you these stats with Eliza Bleu and to watch. You can do a lot to lose followers anyway. Heck, me changing subjects or talking about something different on YouTube loses followers. I mean, anything will lose followers, but this is directly related to this controversy. If you look at those numbers too, they're insane. And Blue, I think, I really get the feeling that she thinks that if she scrubs enough stuff, if she shifts, I'm waiting for something to try to shift the perspective. Again, the best perspective that has always worked for Eliza Bleu has been the perspective of I am a victim there. I am someone that, you know, something terrible happened to. And the way to shift this conversation and put people on their guard would be to point the finger at someone. I keep wondering, that video that she felt that she could scrub off the internet, why did she feel comfortable? Not, again, we saw so far by number, we have seen, 24 accounts that have been hit? 24 that have been, I mean, that's unreal, right? 2 freaking dozen accounts and climbing. I mean, I have no idea how many other accounts were hit with privacy claims. Now, I went over all of that yesterday too, to make it very clear. I cannot say with certainty every freaking one was fired off by the same people, but the people who did it did a lot of research. And I think that there is a core group that flagged for something specific for sure. I think if you look at, Legal Mindset yesterday, for example, he posted about what got him hit. I showed this yesterday, but I do think it's worth sharing, because I went through and I checked a bunch of other hits that people had taken. And Legal Mindset, again, I like Legal Mindset anyway. He's a nut, but I like Legal Mindset. He's a crazy fun guy. You know, he speaks his mind, and he will stand with you if somebody falls. Like if somebody tries to hit you, he would definitely stand with me. So I'll stand with him. But he posted a link to what got hit for him. And this is pretty much over. So I went over 8 posts that I saw online for privacy complaints. This is the privacy complaint he received. Now, in many of these privacy complaints, you'll have a video link. that have been posted, and you'll have a time reference. So you can see exactly what's being hit. Now, there were some people that went ahead and showed you screenshots of that, so you could reference that too, like say Yellow Flash, for example. So you could track back to exactly what was being targeted. And in this instance here, it was discussion about that video in any way, like legal mindset. So he actually posts the point. Now here's something that I do have to add. It says at about, so I would give this 10 seconds either way, but I'm going to pull that up. I'm actually going to pull it up on YouTube, and I'll show you what they did scrub. But this doesn't remain for everything. Like for me, when I got a privacy complaint, mine was just random filling. Like, I don't know if somebody just decided, hey, we'll go after that, but there's no way they'll win that. There's no freaking way, because there's nothing in that area that could be hit. So here, though, you can see what they're talking about. I want to play this part because you can tell what they're trying to scrub. And again, the conversation it goes always back to the eternal why.
And it certainly wouldn't violate the terms of service.
Exactly. Well, I mean, the music video so Flash got banned because he shared the link. So this is the music video. When I first saw this, when Brittany shared it, it was at 36,000 views. Video was 6 years old. No age restrictions on this.
So you see what they're aiming at with these privacy restrictions. This is the scrubbing of this specific item. It's absolutely, it's trying to memory hole, like he's saying here. It looks like she's trying to memory hole this stuff. Well, he got hit first on Twitter for posts, but then he got privacy complaint, just like so many other people did, for even covering this in live stream, saying this is where it is. Now you could tell too, like people like Chrissy Mayer, she had multiple ones flagged in. She had 4, I believe, that we saw. And in those 4, one of them, some of them are surface level. Like this happens in the first 3 minutes and 56 seconds of something. So you're not, somebody may be going through looking at material, but they weren't going way down the rabbit hole, right? Here, though, we had with Chrissy Mayer, she had something flagged 56 minutes into a live stream, or 53 minutes into a live stream, rather. 53 minutes. That means they watched for an hour, flagging material. The quarterings went even further than that. Like by number, he had 10 complaints posted against him. 10. Now, like I said, mine felt like a weird outlier, and there were a few outliers. There were a few weird outliers. Like mine, there's no way. This is also, I think there was a coordinated effort to scrub that specific thing. One thing that you'll have, though, is that other people either trying to simp for her or whatever will try to take down stuff, too. That is actually a very good way to cause that person problems, by the way, just to note. But I kept up with, let me look up the time stamp on mine. I actually pulled this up yesterday, but I want to show you the, like for me, I think it's at 23, 27. It's right in this area, but for mine was like more of an outlier, I felt like, because and there were some outliers. It wasn't just one. There were a few outliers, but not many. Most of them dealt with that specific thing. But like for me here from another live stream, you could tell, I can't remember if it happened at 2027 or it's right in here though. I mean, it has her Twitter posts where she privated. You're a beauty. You need to have a discussion there. And then it goes into nothing. It goes into nothing. And then there's the writer for Timcast picture. So that was where I got a privacy complaint. So there's nothing in there that it's 100%. It's 100% a person with a public profile. They are a public. They are not a private entity. They are a public entity here. Yeah, that's the public figure thing that works into that. Yeah, the argument about, can you talk about somebody? Well, we're not talking about just some rando out there. And again, I showed yesterday how all of that situation, how privacy complaints work. Anyway, the privacy complaint thing, it's easy to misuse. A lot of people think that a privacy complaint means something illegal. but it means nothing. I mean, it means absolutely nothing. Again, just pulling that up real fast. I think I'll add it since it's right here. It's very easy to the way that this is done. It's like I said, it's so open for abuses, and there are a lot of them. I've only ever lost one privacy complaint. Just a note. I've only ever lost one, and that was before I had anybody that could go in and fight. Nowadays, I have people that can fight. But give me 1 minute. This is, like I said, it's a very easy to script thing to look at. You know, here's your privacy complaint. You know, are you experiencing harassment? Still want to submit? You know, contact the person. Oh, okay. I have reviewed your community guidelines. You know, abusing this, it may result in a suspension. Okay, understand that. Then what was revealed? Was it your image or full name? Your image or full name refers to still images, audio, video footage, or text that uniquely identifies you. Now, funny enough, some people think that that entitles them to scrub themselves off the internet, and that doesn't. That's not how that works. There's a specific, you know, when you go on Twitter showcasing stuff, that's a lot different than somebody, say, digging up you as a private citizen. There's a much different thing there. But then they have the other personal details. Okay, well, the other personal details here, again, got to put in their name, put in their email, the URL of the channel, video in question, how to describe that. Then, you know, where is it? They have to sign it, and then they have to provide details. Now, YouTube will follow up on that, and they will ask for more associated details. You, as the creator, do not get to have. You are fighting something blind. You just get a timestamp, and you're told, hey, by the way, this is what's happening. Now, if it comes to somebody gets hit. So the reason I mention that is to show you, number one, the process. But number two, you know, there have been discussions about litigation. People got to get hit first, right? They actually have to fall before. If they lose revenue, that's when you get into the issues. Now, there's another part of it too. So the new privacy complaints, I'm sure you've seen them. They're all over the place, but they don't look like the old privacy complaints. It's not just an aesthetic thing either. There's actually an important factor in the old ones that it really determined a lot. So here's a random one. This has nothing to do with this subject. I'm just pulling up a random one because I want to show you this old thing, because it used to give you a timeline on how long this would take. So you would know in X amount of days how this would be. And I found it to be 3 days is what it pretty much took to get an answer. But in the old one, now I don't know if this time frame has changed. You would think it would still stay about the same because YouTube deals with a lot of this crap. But in the old ones, it said we give you the opportunity to remove or edit private information with the content reported. You have 48 hours to take action. If you remove the alleged violation within 48 hours, then that's going to be closed. Now, that's been taken out. But if you didn't, if there's any potential privacy violations remaining after the 48 hours, the complaint will then be reviewed. So I saw answers in the old system within 3 days. I don't know if that timeline holds anymore, but I'm assuming that it has to be close. They're not going to send in an investigative team. And, you know, for smaller channels, I've actually had some smaller channels reach out and say, what should I do in that? I can't tell you how to run your channel, first of all. For a small channel, I might actually blur the image. I might, because if you're a small channel, you're more likely to lose this fight. Because you're going to end up with some random person that is going to decide whether or not you get hit. So if you want to blur the image, that's up to you. But for me, I might. I don't know. That is an individual thing. Like I said, I can't tell you. For me, fuck that noise. I ain't doing it. I ain't blurring anything. You know, if I get a strike for it, then we're talking about litigation. And it's going to be fascinating. There was also something yesterday. I'm curious how this will go. So on Rumble, Yellow Flash played the entire music video. Now, that's going to be fascinating because you know damn well that Eliza Bleu is wanting to scrub this thing off the internet. Now, Rumble has made it very clear that they stand by free speech and they ain't doing that kind of stuff. So it'd be interesting to see how they would respond to any type of threat. How that answer, if that answer, the difference in the way Rumble, and I've never seen any evidence to the contrary, but the difference in the way Rumble versus YouTube says they handle things, imagine it as a hand. For YouTube, a complainant, oftentimes they get a thumbs up, right? Rumble is like, yeah, we use another finger there, and let's just say it's not, we're not giving you the okay. We're not pointing at you. We're not saying, yeah, brother. We're not trying to say we're drinking fancy tea, and we're definitely not giving in to any kind of wedding invitations. So yeah, you can imagine what finger they say they hold up. Now we'll see if that's true. We'll see how that goes. It'll be fascinating to watch that play out. Now there's one other thing that I want to add today, and I think this is actually a very good discussion. I want everyone to drink this thing in here too, because it's an important discussion. It's one that actually started taking form really about a year ago, as far as I understood it. And then it's taken other faces. Now, if you've not heard of Sentinel, Christopher Bouzy. Now, this is actually a very interesting story because Christopher Bouzy runs this thing called Sentinel. It supposedly hunts down bots, right? It hunts them down with ratings. It rates you whether you're 0% harmless or you're 100% noxious, and you should be taken down. Now, Chris Bouzy took money from Amber Heard, for sure. He also has been accused, and by his own posts, said, now he tried to take this back and cork it again, but he was saying that he took money from other folks, including Meghan Markle. He appeared in the new Netflix documentary, and around that time, he started political grifting. Now, he heavily buzzwords, heavily. He has convinced many a person they need to flee Twitter. They need to go to a brand new thing, Spoutable. Now, I always thought that was funny, too, because in Spoutable, you can spout off. Now, have you ever actually... spouting off or to spout off is not a positive connotation. To spout off is here's the informal use: to speak about someone or something in a particularly boastful or arrogant manner. That's spouting off. To speak from a tedious or exasperating length of time. That's spouting off. Or to utter something in a brash, unwelcome, or unpleasant manner. So already that doesn't sound good, right? But you had all of these politicos. You had journalists going over there. They were like, yeah, we're going to build up this cult of personality with Christopher Bouzy. Yeah. Now, Christopher Bouzy has been he's had some very, very good investigations into him, particularly by Nate the Lawyer. In fact, if you've never checked out Nate the Lawyer's channel, you definitely should, because he has looked into bot farms by this guy. He has looked into scams. He has looked into, there's so much there, but this takes the prize. So Spoutable was supposed to be built from the ground up. It was supposed to be built 100% by Chris Bouzy's team. Well, it doesn't look like that. In fact, here we have a lovely post. Now, I want to give props again to anybody that actually did this research. This is not my research, but you check this out. So, I have just received confirmation that the personal data, this is from Spoutable, Chris Bouzy, who has signed up to use Spoutable, is compromised. We have the data of 25,225 users. So data has been compromised on 25,000 plus people. The data was not obtained by any illegal means, but via API. That's the same thing that, you know, Chris Bouzy cannot complain about API or anything else. He himself, that's how he's built up himself in the past. And if you look at this, I mean, you can actually see their data is easily referenced in this. The stuff that's supposed to be safe, secure, it's coming up. It's coming up over and over again. Again, the leaks on that. Now, the reason that this is happening, well, it actually got brought up by Markle online. Let me pull this up because this gets pretty interesting. So he says, you know, everyone's favorite. This happened on the 1st. Favorite CEO, Christopher Bouzy, has built Spoutable all by himself, he said. Well, let's debunk it. Now, you have multiple of Bouzy's close journalist pals, and they have. All of his little pals are out there. Even what's crazy about this is they have built up this grifter as the first fucking black owner of a social media platform there. They have built up this guy who wrecks lives for a living, has done some of the most heinous shit targeting anybody that wants to take a stance against them. Something journalists should have a problem with, by the way. But they're no. Let's buy this. Let's buy the grift and let's push it. You have politicians that are involved in this shit too. You can go. In fact, if you don't want to join up with Spoutable, I found a fun thing about this. You can actually go to. You too can look into Spoutable. Spoutable/Bouzy. Give me 1 minute. You yourself can actually just take a sneak peek over on Spoutable by keywording in here, just like you do with give me a second here, just like you do with Twitter. You can take a peek in, and it's already, you can tell something. This is going to be exposed, but you can tell that this is a cheap Twitter clone, a very cheap Twitter clone. In fact, this is Twitter. This is absolutely 100% fucking Twitter with different names. Oh, I'm sorry, with less features too. You don't have video or other features that have been on there, but you have a lot of, I mean, it is the same site, but you have people that are wanting to run to a new echo chamber because they think, oh man, these people, they're not going to take me down. Yeah, when you disagree, your little rating on the sideline, it's going to spike because Christopher Bouzy decides who is toxic on the platform and who doesn't. Welcome to another freaking grift there. But I mean, look at it. This is a Twitter clone. You can see spouts, replies, spouts. I mean, come on, man. The little whale too. Oh my God. But I mean, if you look there, yeah, they're like, oh, look what's trending. Spoutable. Yeah, it's not trending for a good reason. Let's just say it was trending because there were problems with Spoutable. Like it was jacked up, and so many people were laughing at it because when people tried to sign in, this wasn't open to everyone in the public. It ended up trending because it was an absolute disaster, and also because, well, data compromise. But if you look again, what's different here? Nothing. I mean, this is Twitter. A Twitter with a different face on it. But of course, and if you want a really interesting look when you're rolling through this stuff, again, you're going to find politicians that are involved in this shit. You're going to find all types of stuff. But Bouzy himself has been running heavy damage control there, and so many idiots are involved in it. You know, he's like, oh, well, you know, earlier today, an individual from Germany has been spreading false information about Spoutable and now attempting to make people think it's been hacked and insecure. And that's not true. It's not hacked. It's that the coding on the damn thing is not secure. It's just not secure, period. Because again, you get what you pay for. Now, if I were to tell you that Spoutable, if I were going to buy a website, what do you think a website like that should cost me? I mean, if I'm going to build me up, I'm going to get just a few answers here. Like if I were going to build a new Twitter, what do you think a new Twitter should cost? you know? I mean, like me, not him. Not him. So I'm not talking a bag of Cheetos and broken dreams. I'm talking about like if you and I got together and we built a brand new Twitter, what do you think that would cost us? $500 a night. $500 a night. Nay, nay, nay. Nay, 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 baby. Well, what if I were to tell you, and I'm going to show you Marco's thing here in just a second, but what if I were to tell you that reports have it, again, that his Twitter, it costs $89. Now, of course, you've got to implement, you have web space and stuff. But yeah, you can buy a Twitter clone for the low price of $89. Would you feel safe if you knew? Like if I told you, hey, baby, why don't you get on this? Why don't you give me your personal digits? Would you follow it? I mean, would you think that sounds safe and secure? Hey, thanks for the 2 there. Hey, you. Hey there. Back at you, by the way. Yeah, $89. $89 freaking dollars for the low price. You can pick it up too. So let's look at this thread on here. And again, because this is coming out, Christopher Bouzy is actually going to threaten people with litigation. He's going to threaten them saying, you know, that they're hackers. He's going to go to the FBI and on. Yeah, you make a big deal out of this. You try to spin it. You try to spin the compromising of 25,000 people's information by saying, oh, they hacked and more. No, they didn't have to hack. It's because you went out and you bought something. You try to make this litigation. And what happens is people get to look behind the details. And oh my God, I tell you, like he's been threatening Marco here. Okay. If you try to sue Marco, I will fucking make sure that he has GoFundMe, that he can fight. And we get to fucking discovery. Oh, we will get to discovery too. Oh, you better believe it. And that will backfire because you'll have to answer, hey, well, what is it then? What are you based on? Did you 100% build this from scratch? Or did you buy an $89 canned version of Twitter from some overseas location? Sorry about that noise. I don't get to. I have a love for the cigar. I have a few. I thought I had 2 left, and then I forgot that somebody had gifted me some for Christmas. They bought me a thing of, what are they? Cavalier Nevas, I think, the U.S. exclusive. I think they gave me I think there's a box there, which would be like 20. I don't know how many are in there, but I was like, wait a minute. So after they're done, they're done. But man, I love to have them in live streams. So anyway, multiple of Bouzy's closest journalist friends describe his project as the Twitter killer. Yeah, the similarities to Twitter are uncanny, but it's more of a cheap knockoff than a killer. Bouzy has a reputation of copying projects from other companies or people, claiming that it's his own. His multiple failed crypto scams. There are a lot of crypto project questions too. Of course, though, people don't want to dig in there. Again, powerful. It's powerful to use political buzzwords. I've always said, man, I could get much, much bigger as you could if you just adopted a side in political fights. You know, people who do that, oh, you can get plenty of that. All you have to do is sell integrity. But if you don't have any integrity, it doesn't fucking matter, right? I mean, hey. But you also have, and the software ventures, they proved that already. So when Spoutable launched today, I already expected to find clues about where the project came from. So for me, the easiest and most reliable way was by viewing the source code of the website and trying to Google certain parts of it. It didn't take long until I found this section called Timeline Pub Blocks that got me to the first hit. So he's telling you, I Googled some of this thing and this is what I found. I found it in its own source code. So again, you want to threaten to sue. Yeah, that ain't going to work out for you because this is just information that you can look at in the website itself. There is no hacking involved. I mean, a guy that pretends to be some kind of fucking website genius, software genius. I'm an engineer, baby. He wants to call this hacking. Yeah, that tells you plenty, doesn't it? But above, search results got me a Russian website, which probably offers null or illegally offered website projects. That would be a problem there too. Is this legal? So not only could you be looking at a potential cheap knockoff, but you could be looking at a potentially cheap illegal knockoff. So contacting the FBI about your cheap illegal knockoff, that might not be fun too. Might want to talk to legal about that before because might have some real problems. What's amazing too, these people, the reason I think that Bouzy went this route isn't because he thought that this was going to work out better or anything else. I mean, yeah, he was like, ooh, probably got a little dollar signs. But also, Elon Musk has been talking about locking people out of API. The thing that built him up, bot Sentinel, it relies on Twitter API. And overnight, there were multiple projects that got knocked offline because they were no longer allowed to utilize Twitter's API. Now, there have been complaints about that anyhow, because essentially bot Sentinel targets what it did anyway. If you look at his website before, and again, he marketed this successfully to his shills in the media. He marketed this successfully to politicos who love the buzzwords, because if you denounce one side of a political spectrum, that works out for you. And me, I don't particularly care when people take shots at each side. I don't give a shit. I don't care. But I hate it when it's a lie. I hate it when it's a lie. Like if you have probably been called, no matter how you think about something, you've probably been called a right-wing Yahtzee or God knows what. And on topics, you could have a problem with something and that doesn't say anything. You could be talking about a listen and believe fraud or false allegations. That doesn't say anything about your political beliefs, but that's what they utilized. The thing is, bot Sentinel can't track bots. It doesn't do it at all. In fact, some of the most hateful, racist accounts out there are bot Sentinel approved. And what I mean by approved, they give a score for something. Well, they don't violate specific rules within bot Sentinel. What they do is they track certain type of posts, keywording. They track hashtags and on. So somebody that hashtagged a lot about Amber Heard being a liar, for example, they would have a terrible bot Sentinel score. Hashtags, you can tell, are heavily involved because myself, I have a acceptable bot Sentinel score, even though I was talking about the very thing that got people rated like monstrous and on. And it wasn't because of the way that I post, but it was because I don't typically post hashtags. Well, it's that grift starts to die, you got to have another place to go on. So he managed during the election process that we saw, he managed to convince quite a few people that I guess he's going to add them. He's going to, first of all, represent them, and he's going to tell them what they want to hear when it comes up. You see so many political talking heads do that anyway. They convince people, oh man, your guy's going to win. They're going to win, and that's what people want to hear. So, of course, they'll follow that because it's fucking stupid. It's not actual conversation about what's going to happen. It is a rigged deck. It's ridiculous there. But on top of it, he managed to, again, worm his way into with his mainstream influencers, groups, so-called journalists. He managed to get politicos behind him, and he decided he was going to launch this thing. He was like, man, this is the time that we stand against that evil Elon Musk and his empire. We launch something that's going to be totally there for us. We don't tolerate, he used every buzzword in the book, harassment, bigotry, blah, blah, blah. Essentially, Bouzy can do whatever he wants on his platform, but he's telling you, we're going to give you something where you're going to get a safe space. And fuck a safe space, man. People don't owe you nicety online. That's boring. Like if you want to post pictures of cats and shit online, you can. You can do that on Twitter. You can lock your stuff down and have fun, or you can go to Facebook. They're even more serious about that. There's nothing wrong with it. But a Twitter without the fighting is not fun. Because you know what? That means you have an echo chamber. And if you need an echo chamber, sooner or later, when you buy into an echo chamber, you know what happens? The echo chamber doesn't want you anymore. And that echo chamber that you decide on by itself is a problem. But still, you had plenty of politicos. They decided to endorse it. I mean, we're talking politicians there. You can look. If you want to know who they are, just go look in. Again, you don't even have to sign up. Just take just type in spoutable.com/cbouzy. BCBOUZY, and you can look right into it. You can see who's following him, and you'll find politicians again supporting this stuff. That's bad enough, right? But on top of that, then you have this this mess. So this program, I'm just going to call it C. It's faster to say. C is a paid social media platform template available on Code Canyon. Bouzy, however, is using an older version of the project, probably since he started working on it approximately 2 months ago. I wonder how he really values security then. Now, this is when you start getting into your security questions. And there have been a lot of threats that have been rounding the bases, as it were, because of this. So C is being developed by Mansur TL, a Russian design web development team. Now, do you feel, he seemed to denounce a user because they were from Germany. You saw his post. Oh, this German out there. Okay, well, we've heard a lot in the last year. So the people that he linked up with, they denounced Russian involvement from so many people. That was the go-to, right? Whether it was an Orange Man, an Adam Waldman. They used that against Adam freaking Waldman, Johnny Depp's lawyer. Oh my God, look at Russia. That was the go-to. Anytime you wanted denouncement, Russian-based template for your website. Knock off Twitter. If you don't trust Russia, then why the fuck are you using this thing? Naturally, I opened the demo version of C and compared it with Spoutable. Most of the design elements and even some of the description text are 100% comparable. Okay, but if you look at this, look at it. Look at how its design template actually works. Everything looks. Again, you could see. So we cut off the right message at the top here, but look at it. Look at how show following, that's exactly the same. Show followers, exactly the same. Copy links to profile, exactly the same. You see that. This isn't just a coincidence in design optics. When you get enough features that are exactly the same, you've got a problem. Especially if that thing, again, there was a lot of money raised behind the scenes to pull stuff up too. When you look at the layout for how this thing actually works with, so you change the logo at the top, but even with the type of query and press enter, e.g. hashtag, username, etc., it's exactly the same words. Hashtag people posts, hashtag people spouts. So they don't call them posts. They came up with their own thing. So they changed that word in the code. But again, holy crap, you know, the design opics are, I mean, and even if you customize a few of the layout options, you know, you customize, but even button spacing, I mean, everything. I mean, come on, that the irregularity, it's definitely, it's something else. It's got to at least get you thinking, that's kind of strange, right? Now, when Bouzy's been asked about this stuff too, you know, his answer has been to hide. It's just like when he was going after Nate, the lawyer. When people gave blowback to it, he has either hidden the statements or he has outright blocked the people. So the users that are involved in this, I mean, he has gone out and just out now, instead of saying, yeah, this is why this happens, X, Y, and Z. Instead, it's just like the Eliza Bleu thing. You're his enemies in some way, and he's going to sue you. I mean, it's uncanny, isn't it? We have a lot of carbon copies out there, don't we? So as the website, its responses also changes to a more mobile-friendly view at exactly the same width, pixel value. So, I mean, when you're changing over, again, you know, it adds in the same values, everything else. The questions that come in there, again, this all goes for temperate. I'm going to pull that up because it's darker. It's not as bright on my screen. Dreadnought, thanks for the 2. Boozy's answers, knock off Twitter from Wish. Indeed. You wish.com did it right. A 4C process. Thanks for the 2 there. For those of us that don't know, what is an API? Okay, so the API is a application program interface. That's what it's. So it's a set defined rules that they allow one application, like say I create Bot Sentinel, that allows Bot Sentinel to communicate with Twitter. So that's your API. That is a very... I am not a computer engineer anyway, so you would probably have a very complex answer from an engineer, but I think that's the best way to describe that. That's one of the problems when you had, again, one of the things that people were complaining about with Bot Sentinel is that your information, you know, in order to label you a Yahtzee or, you know, whatever, they have to interface with your name, with specific information about you from Twitter, and you're essentially being targeted for being a Twitter user. So that's what Bot Sentinel did by itself. So that on its own should be a problem. Now, some places just use that. Like there are programs that make Twitter better. In fact, Twitter was, that's not a negative necessarily, is what I mean. There are programs that built Twitter. Twitter having the specific type of interface that it did and allowing people to profit off of that too. People built companies adding on and making Twitter a much more pleasant interface. That's why Twitter grew to the beast that it did. And Elon's response to this is actually, it's not been smart in a lot of ways. I mean, he needs to cut out companies like Chris Bouzy's company that have been interfacing and attacking its client base. You never, if a business leeches off of your business and attacks your very user base, you kill that thing. If it adds value for your users, you keep it around. You know what I mean? But anyway, so you have that. Now one court. I hope I explained that okay. Again, I'm not an engineer or anything like that. I'm sure that I'm not a coder, anything like that. I can do a little bit of coding, like I couldn't design anything. Oh, I could design something if you got a template program for a website, but I couldn't do anything. That's why you hire professionals to do it. That's the thing too. Bouzy decided, not to spend the money and have a professional build something from the ground up. It looks like he decided to take money, to take donations, to build something, and he was sending out a lot of emails with the emails. I would get them because some people would send them over every time they'd come up, because people were intrigued by it. He would go after Nate the lawyer in a lot of emails, but also he was always asking for money for this. So I'd be curious how much money he actually made to build this thing versus how much, again, there's other costs. You don't just have a template here. You're going to have other costs associated with it, but still, there's a big difference in me telling you, yes, I'm building an option from the ground up. Why don't you get into that? I have an idea. Here's something. Nate the lawyer, I give this to you for free too. Since Bouzy wanted to traffic this off of the back of quote unquote black-owned business, why don't you or somebody like respond to it? Why don't a bunch of people get together and actually build an alternative if they want to? Truly be that business that needs to be there. Truly be that, because what needs to happen is you need a superior product. If you want to go to bat and market yourself that way, that's awesome. I mean, hey, if that's what people want, but you know what really gets them there? A better product or an alternative, something you could have a simple interface. That's what you need, but you just need a few gimmicks, a few hitches in that. And I would love to see somebody like that I know, like again, like a Nate the lawyer or many other people. He live streams with from very interesting good people. It seems like I would love to see somebody like that actually take that and be like, yo, wow, I'm going to take that and I'm truly going to build something. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Now, again, I hate scammers getting involved. Do I think that we need a better Twitter? Yes, I do. I think we need a website that gives us actual free speech. I believe that. The problem is that it's going to be attacked. Like, there's a problem already with Bouzy's interface when politicians are saying, bravo, baby, bravo. With that's going to be a problem. Every time we've had actual even the inkling of free speech, any kind of discussion you or I could have, what happened to it? It got shut down. Jennifer, thanks for the 5 there. Please consider streaming your live streams on Rumble as well. Yeah, I've got to talk to the new Rumble guy too, I've got to talk to them. I wouldn't go near Spoutable with a 20-foot pole. That's true. But anyway, so now, of course, one could argue that he saw it and just took a little inspiration. I'd give him the benefit of the doubt if it wasn't for the source code. So the source coding here, you can look up. Look at that. We can see most of the same dependencies regarding script, style sheets in the source code. We also, finally, the profile view code is even more stunningly identical. I mean, again, when you start looking at it side by side, it's laying out a very interesting that again, Bouzy is telling people, no, don't pay attention to this. Don't look at it. This guy's a liar. He wants to take us down. But I mean, look at it. He's showing side by side. Here are some questions that need to be answered. What's going on with this? So conclusion on that. No, Spoutable wasn't built from the ground up by Bouzy and his team. It wasn't based on bought Sentinel. He just bought a relatively cheap program from Code Canyon, Theme Forest, took 2 whole months to tweak it a little and called it his own. Disclaimer too, that doesn't mean that he doesn't have the right to edit or publish the work of that as long as he bought it. It's a lie, though. I mean, that's the problem there. It's an absolute lie. Here's another question too. I liked on here. What happens if you don't get the security? Here's another thing to add. What happens once the 6 months of support from the original developer of the project expires? Do you think Bouzy understands all the original code and can keep the project up to date, especially regarding security? That's a good question, considering, well, he couldn't manage it from the beginning, right? I feel obligated to end this thread with a big thank you, of course. He thanked a lot of folks out there. And yes, I want to give him credit too. I think it's good to see him standing up. One last addition, since I just saw it, Bouzy has full control over which usernames. Here, let's see. So on here, Bouzy has full control over which usernames or emails are allowed to join his platform. He can also disable non-binary gender options with one click. So, I mean, if you look at that, again, the layouts in this, what can he manage? He can restrict anybody that he wants. So he has, again, what the problem with that is, say he doesn't want a specific journalist there. Say he doesn't want a specific user that has been friendly. He has the ability to play God on his website. People are giving him that. And this is a guy that won't even answer the security questions that are coming up, which that blew open wide. So you actually had, let's see, here we go. Give me 1 second. I'm pulling up a discussion here. So you had a discussion about that with people asking questions. And when they did, they started getting banned or blocked. Here it is. I was making sure I had the right thing. So you had people, they were like, hey, what's going on? He either built it from scratch or put this in place, removed it, went called out, blocked the users asking questions, or he bought it from Russian developers, didn't know this stuff was in place. So he was actually asked questions about, let me pull up the top part of that thread here. Here we go. So as of this morning, video ID verification option on Spoutable, that was on the site. Now you think about the problems that you would have something here, a video verification, the potential just for identity theft off of something like that. Like, read what he wants here, okay? I want you to, this is how you would have to get on Spoutable. He either didn't know this existed or he planned this. Either way, this is a huge problem. Listen to this here. So please note that this material, this is for that, will not be published or shared with third parties. We request this information solely to verify the authenticity of your identity in order to further verify your account. To do this, we need you to record a video of no more than one minute, and we want you holding your passport or your ID in your right hand in a clear vision of your face and the data on your document, besides giving your full name and your user nickname. Wait a minute. So they want you to verify your user ID by clearly showcasing a passport or an ID along with your full name. Why not just put your bank details in there too while you're at it? I mean, you see a problem here, right? The potential for scamming off of that alone is a huge problem. Hey, what's up, Rabbit? Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for the membership. Welcome to Tugs. Appreciate that. What are my thoughts on Marilyn Manson? I think a lot of the claims against him were obviously BS. Many of them have failed. There are still pieces of it being sorted. People should question anything that comes out where you destroy somebody. Here's my okay, you want my thought on Marilyn Manson? My thought is that we have a real problem when somebody can just come out and say, that person right there, they did X, Y, or Z, and before a conversation ever happens, just like that, your life goes down the toilet. That's my thoughts on that. It's easy to, especially some people are easy to paint into that corner. Now, there are a lot of people that have been saying that the reason Marilyn Manson, oh man, he has X amount of accusers. Yeah, look how many of them turned out to be frauds. How many people have to be frauds before you question something? Quantity doesn't matter. It's the quality of accusation. So that's what I think on it. Then we're still in the process of it. We'll see how it plays, but it's a long, long road to actually go in and actually salvage your you may never salvage actually your career, your name. You may never get clear of something. I mean, we've seen many a person, and people do it wrong too. At least Manson didn't come out and be like Army Hammer, when he came out, he was like, hey, I apologize. I've used people and spit them out, essentially. He had one night stands, would call people back. But I deny this other stuff. No, you're either like hell no or not. You don't just go halfway in. So if you're going to fight. But there's another part of this too. Now, the other part that came up today was really fun. Why? Because Bouzy has gone on a rampage about saying that this is not only pointing out problems that are going to come up, or not only cyber crimes. I mean, look at that. Now, he's turned off his comments, of course. You notice that, right? He doesn't want anybody commenting unless you follow him, and he follows you back. So he only gets approved comments there. And look, morons. I mean, morons are like, bravo. 139 freaking likes on this, admitting to a cyber crime. So going in and looking at Google code and comparing code to code, that's a cyber crime. No, that's not at all. But the reason he's upset about this, like I was saying, is it's been revealed that the user data of over 25,000 people has been compromised. And the reason that it's been compromised, well, he didn't know his website because he didn't build it. And let me see. Give me 1 second. I got to pull something up for this. He actually did a Twitter, Twitter Spaces. So he went in and he tried to deflect blame. He tried to say, oh, all those people out there, they're monsters. I mean, he's been doing damage control all freaking day along with this stuff. I mean, it's nuts. So part of it is we had a nice breakdown for what happened in there. Let me pull up the way that this was. You can go listen to yourself if you'd like. It's like, well, I'm in. This guy's going to cry. He is spinning the hate to Megxit, Amber Heard, and MAGA. That's what he's blaming it on, by the way. If you have a problem with this kind of stuff, it's because he supported Amber Heard. Oh, he supported Meghan Markle. Oh, my God, it's the politicos out there, the MAGAs that get me. And, it's like, nah, people had questions. Your own users, they had questions. But the spin works. I mean, jackasses will jackass, right? Don't be, in life too. Here's a life lesson. If you look at the other guy and you think, man, that sounds stupid. Yeah, look at yourself and see if you've got on floppy shoes too. Because if you're following behind them, if they're asking you to march to a stupid tune and you're just singing and dancing, you're definitely wearing the floppy shoes. Don't ever wear the floppy shoes. 4C process, thanks for the 5. Even setting aside the freaking template, clearly no testing was done. Couldn't have. In only 2 months. It's ludicrous. Exactly. He went, well, that's because I think that accelerated timeline tells you plenty. He wanted to launch before Bot Sentinel potentially got booted off of the API. He knew Bot Sentinel, like just like that, depending on Elon Musk's next whim, Bot Sentinel becomes a toaster. There's nothing there. Like, and I'm not saying that there was something there before, but what I'm saying is they had the linkage to Twitter so they could denounce specific people, and they could say, oh, this person's a monster because of this, that, or the other. He created a political and he created a weapon for elites, and they've used it against you and I. He likes to talk about how he does this because of the ism and the phobia. But at the end of the day, the reality is he created weapons for elitists. And they, I mean, look at the people that have used this. You have the entitled Hollywood celebs. You have people that are bordering royal family. In that, you have people with connections to the FBI, you have political heads. I mean, it's crazy stuff. They're the people who use those tools. So yeah, he didn't create something for the people. He used something that you could weaponize against the people. Hey, 4C, thanks for the 2. You're good at snapping your fingers. Indeed. That's because my thumb is double jointed. That's right, my thumb. If you've never seen somebody, I can bend my thumb forward, but I can bend my thumb partially backwards. I'm not talking about like a little bit. I can bend it as far backwards as I can bend it forward. So when you set it like flat, like if you go and take your thumb and you bend it inward, see how far you can bend it there? I can bend mine backwards that way too, because it's double jointed. So when I snap with my thumb bent back, so it snaps. I can also hitchhike around corners, which is pretty awesome. No, I'm just kidding. It's cold outside. You want to hitchhike, but you don't want to get out from the cold? No problem. Buy a double-jointed thumb, baby. But yeah, it helps with the snapping game. But here we have so he's talking about Marco, the guy that we just looked over all of his posts. And he was saying that Marco is spreading rumors, he's going out. And you saw the post there. Again, his statement on that, he said, here are the facts. We have public APIs that display public information available to everyone. It's no different than how Twitter displays. We also have APIs for debugging and testing, etc., etc. We disabled API endpoints and made sure that unused API endpoints were disabled. No personal information. He was like, no DMs or passwords or anything were there. Yeah, it had all your web. It had a lot of your information out there that people could find, but hey, no problem, right? He said, as we stated in our spaces, we take its security seriously. I was adamant that we would immediately address any issues that put our users to risk and made that information public in 24 hours. Yeah. If you screw over 25,000 people and then you're like, well, we're going to address that, maybe you should address that on the front end. Any other place that ends up getting hacked or, ends up having problems, even if that was done illegally in there, that's a problem. But this was done to 100% legally. Didn't secure just basic information. Oopsie. But he's like, I wouldn't encourage you to use a platform that I wouldn't feel safe using myself. Of course, you build your little empire, build your little fiefdom online, and then tell everybody, I feel it's safe. Of course you do, right? Lastly, I take a moment to address the disinformation campaign that has been happening the last 2 weeks. The individual in question has been spamming people who reply to me for over 2 months. He first claimed that Spoutable was a scam. It was vaporware. Then he claimed I was a scammer. No one should use a platform owned by a scammer. A few days ago, he claimed we were using code from a Russian hacker. That's actually not. See, you see the different spin here. Oh, it was from a Russian hacker. No, he said you brought a cheap template knockoff that may or may not be illegal. It just depends on that. That's not the thing. You see how that goes. His goal was to scare people into that, and he said it himself. Yeah, he didn't say that he was trying to scare people from using it. He wanted to warn people, you're not safe there. Your information's not safe. Again, you should never give one person the power over any platform. That's the problem that we see with Elon Musk. Before that, we saw it with with Jack Dorsey and his crew. You saw what power in the hands of folks like that. That's an issue. Like, I don't know the answer. Of course, you're always going to have a person with the design control, but you need rules and you need to abide by them, period. They can't just, his first statements were nebulous. We don't allow, all types of different, basically anything we don't like. And on top of that, we give you a bot Sentinel score. That bot Sentinel score, that's going to determine whether or not they consider you somebody that's appropriate. That's appropriate for it. But it is amazing. It is amazing how how the spin has been. I mean, it's been crazy to watch. So he's like, I'll be spinning a rumor. He just accepted he did not build Spoutable from scratch. The spin is the platform will protect people's identity, politics, BS spin. And he's been saying that. He's been, we're going to, again, it's been answers to, we're going to protect you from the outside noise that terrifies you so much. Man, if you're afraid to be online, then fucking don't be online. But online, again, we need to get past this soft freaking nature where we think that discourse about issues, there are some nasty people out there. When you run into them, you have tools that you can block them out for. And there are people that go further than that. In fact, crazy enough, when Bouzy tried to discredit the person that we're discussing here, you know what he did to them? He went after them to dox them and more. So he didn't just try to discredit Marco. He said he was going to contact his employer. He put out information about him. He tried to ruin this person for bringing up what are, I believe, very legit criticisms, very legit discussion points. And right off the bat, he was like, I'm going to contact your employer. I mean, he said that. He made it very clear that was part of the plan. Going to contact your freaking employer because of it. I'll pull that up in just a minute too. But then on the data breach, he accepted that the data is leaked. There's an issue on the back end. Oh man, not good there though. He's saying he already patched it though. Total lies. He took responsibility, but he didn't. He started attacking people that put that out. So he goes into his attacks again. You can listen to the spaces. It's still out there if you want. He said they're all idiots, and he's going to contact the FBI. He said, he had to blame all these people. He said that he didn't get the emails about that. He's offering premiums for free for 3 months. He's begging his users to stay, give him a month. Please don't abandon us. You keep saying it sounds like he's going to cry, They're criminals, though. They're criminals. All of the people that have been bringing this stuff up, they're absolutely monsters. They're criminals. He's going to hire moderators. He's going to bring in things. He's going to make it safe. And also, of course, end goal, we need to reach 40% women. Yeah, I thought women were misogynist, though, according to him. They have eternal misogyny. Again, he's denounced platforms with more than, again, this account that you're following, I believe. Let me see what the newest metrics on it are now. Let me look at my brand new metrics. Just give me 1 second. I want to see what my he didn't mind trying to get us banned for talking about Amber Heard, but everybody that discussed that, again, remember all the ladies that sound off on it. He attacked women because of Meghan Markle, saying that they were all just standard white women, this and that. On top of that, he went after women for. He went after women going after Amber Heard, who is a white woman, which doesn't work for his thing. It just changes with the tide. Anytime that something comes up, got to change that, got to track it down. It's just, that's weird. So let me see, what are my metrics? So right now we are looking at almost a 50-50 divide on female to male ratio. I actually have better numbers than Bouzy on this thing. Lifetime for here. It depends on what we talk about. The metrics do indeed change over time, but lifetime metrics for the channel. Let's go lifetime. That includes comic discussions and more. Going in there, I had, even with all of that, I still had a 45% female ratio for the entire thing. So I have a better end results than Spoutable is aiming for. Yeah, and I never had to try to scam people in the process for it. Amazing, huh? But again, when he's been going after Markle, the crazy thing about it, he wanted to shut him down so much that he started doxing. And I mean, again, he was saying that he was going to go after his employer. He was going to go after him. I mean, imagine that. Imagine him trying to ruin a guy that was bringing up safety concerns to the point that you would threaten somebody's job, threaten their identity. That's who they are, though. I mean, that's Chris Bouzy in a nutshell. He's done that with multiple other people too. He tried to dox Nate the lawyer. He went after people that detractors of Meghan Markle. And again, when I say this, you don't have to like or agree with anything that anybody says, but what is a problem there is when you have it come up. What happens when one of these people that gave him that information, what happens when somebody that wants to use his platform, they provide them with an actual name or identity? What happens when you don't walk lockstep anymore? I mean, that should be a question. People that want to burn you down because of it, what happens when you don't walk lockstep anymore? So let's pull up a little bit of the spin with this too. I was looking for something real fast. Give me 1 minute. And then we'll be done today. It's been amazing to watch. Like I said, I love watching stuff like this because it's its own trash fire. So Chris Bouzy, and look at all the idiots just marching into this too. Like you can see it from the likes and all just random stupidity. But here's the timeline. He finally blocked, but for the longest time when he was targeting, I was like, this dude is just garbage. So I blocked him. I wasn't dealing with him, and he just kept trying to damage myself and other people until Nate the lawyer came along. Nate the lawyer is actually the person that he went after for talking about, he went after Ian Runkle for saying that his stuff that he put out about me was not correct. Hey, Blue, thanks for the 2. Explain the floppy shoes. You lost me. It's a clown thing. If you're putting on the bright button nose and the floppy shoes, you're a clown too. If you think you're, let's put it this way. If you look around you and you see a circus tent and you look down and you got on floppy shoes, you're a fucking clown. You may think you're the brightest bulb in the room, but you're not. If you're following somebody with a loud bullhorn too, yeah, he's probably the ringmaster, and you're dancing for people. That's what I mean. How many people can fit into the Spoutable clown car? That's 4C process things. So the 5, did it show the other non-binary, not specific breakdown too, or just male, female? Well, it's apparently you can disable any of that stuff with a switch. That's what it was saying on that. So, I mean, but look at him trying to play, oh, look, I'm going to thank the trolls for free advertisement. And it's like, yeah, You also have, again, supposed journalists that have been shilling this thing so hardcore. I mean, it's been nuts to watch. But I mean, he's made threats. He's telling people, I'm gonna sue. These are the same. So you see all of these things. He typed this up for Spoutable too. Those are threats. I mean, he's been in damage control hardcore, trying to basically take over this conversation. And he's saying at the end of it, you know, here's him though. So the guy that put this out, I wanted to show you this on Bouzy's timeline here. So the guy that told all of this stuff, look what he did to him. He went after him online, and he is encouraging people. Yeah, this should take his account down. I mean, this is doxing. It's 100% fucking doxing. But what I've learned about Twitter is Twitter only cares to go after quote unquote doxing when they themselves define something. You know, doxing is talking about one of their people. You know, but I mean, look at that. He's like, and 500 likes on that. So he's telling people this is where he works. People are going to go after him. And of course they are. Of course they are. Let's see if we can do that. People are like, you're going to contact his mother or his boy? You're going to contact his mom next? I mean, seriously. And people are like, hey, you're not going to lie. You being this petty makes me wonder if that's true. But I mean, look, that's absolute doxing. I'm going to call your employer. And he's like, you know, this guy's been stalking me. He's stalking my employer. So if this is stalking, remember Bouzy went through tens of thousands of live stream hours of different people, including thousands of hours of live streams on myself. Thousands of them. So if this guy making some fucking tweets about you is stalking, then here, let's you want to see a nut job in action then? I mean, if that's stalking, give me 1 minute here. I want to show you something real fast. I mean, if that's, like I said, if that's what he considers stalking, well then, I got news for you. Chris Bouzy's probably the craziest fucking stalker I've ever seen. Let's see. Oh. I mean, look at this stuff. So a guy writing about, hey, this guy has done some crazy things in the past and some scammy shit. I mean, again, if that's the problem, well, he has so many stupid things. One of the things that he put together was his so-called reports. And his so-called reports, let me see if he's still got that section. I haven't been over to his stupid-ass website in a long time. You can see, too. Actually, if people are wondering, if you've never looked at... give me 1 second. If you've never looked at bot Sentinel, you can tell, like, how it works anyway. So this is the thing. It rates accounts. This is the same thing that's being used on there. Now, it rates hate tracker. Now, let's just look at what makes an account hateful, because this is going to happen to people on his platform. So these are people that are considered disruptive. Let's find somebody with a really nice disruptive score here. Okay, so let's see this account here. So this account, it's phrases, social media, UK trial, AH supporter, she's wrong. But what really gets you is disruptive as, I stand with, oh no. You put that in reference, though, with Amber Heard is a liar. You see what's happening here. He's tracking people that he's paid for some reason to go after. Where are your reports at, Bouzy? You used to have a link right to them. Did he remove all of his little reports? That's funny. I've got them all saved, but I'm looking through his thing. It looks like he may have removed. Maybe that was causing some problems because it showed that he's a stalkery piece of garbage. Let me find it. Or maybe it's just hidden too far down. I can't see it. It's a shitty layout, too. That's why I say that. It looks like he's hidden some stuff on here. That's fascinating. But yeah, I mean, he did. Okay, so one of the things he did when he tried to come after me and get me banned is he put together a false report. I think most people probably, you probably saw that if you followed the channel. He put together a report that I actually did video on this showing it. He showed a quote that was supposed to be from me. My quotes are pretty, you see how when I do a live stream, my live streams are pretty not spicy compared to a lot of other people. You know, I don't need to be very spicy. I mean, that's just who I am. I show who I am. Who cares? You know, but I don't. If I get annoyed by something, you can hear it. If I'm enjoying myself, you can hear it. But I'm not gonna fake emotion or anything else. I also don't need to yell. I use profanity, but you know, I don't consider much spicy, but it doesn't matter. So what he did is he took quotes. One of the quote bridges that he made, he would take pieces of a sentence and he would put them together with other pieces of sentences. Some of these would happen minutes apart. Some of these happen 6 hours apart. So he went in and he ghost edited that, though. He made it as it looked like one big quote that he had found. And oh man, I mean, look at this guy. Look what he's saying. Well, they were not only out of context quotes, even with ellipses. I mean, again, there's a big difference in taking, if you don't take an entire sentence, you just take a piece, you know. You can make anything. I mean, if you said like that piece of garbage and you clip that and you put it together with other words down the way, you know, then you said, you know, Amber Heard. I mean, it makes it sound like though, you know, if you took that piece of garbage and then Amber Heard later on in that statement, well, he did that only taking it hours apart. Well, he went in and ghost edited it. Now that was bad enough, but he shopped it to Rolling Stone. He shopped it to Taylor Lorenz, all of these places that attacked. And Rolling Stone admitted that they tried to take down channels because of it. They admitted also that Chris Bouzy had been trying to take down people's channels for it, which he's admitted as well, because he's been paid by these people. He was paid in the past. I think he's still on payroll. It's jacked up. But there's a lot to that story too. Now, again, Nate the lawyer has really deep dived that subject. He's deep dived it for a lawsuit, but also that guy, you know, Chris Bouzy put a bullseye on Nate the lawyer. He tried to lie and wreck him with lies. So the difference between what Nate the lawyer did and Chris Bouzy did is Nate the lawyer just looked at his Chris Bouzy's background and he started talking about a lot of the stuff that had been there. And if you want to, I mean, if you want to see a guy that has a scammy freaking past, I mean, just 100% scammer past, what Nate the lawyer has talked about with it. I mean, you know, again, people want to pretend that somehow in some way that what Nate the lawyer has said doesn't apply because buzzwords or, you know, who knows what. And that's one of the most ridiculous things that I've ever seen. It is. It's one of the most ridiculous things. Now, he had a conversation. Let me pull this up too. So Nate and Eric do a live stream. Give me 1 minute. And Nate the lawyer posts this. I think this is actually a good post. Give me 1 minute. Actually, I had a little discussion about what we talked about too. I should have put this in. I want to put it into the live stream so people see it.
So now this next one is BuzzFeed reporter Ellie Hall, who did that massive story on Bouzy, who said she looked at all the data. She's one.
No, she helped claim it.
Yes. she signed up for Spoutable, and as you can see, her information has been compromised. Now, obviously, we redacted email and any personal identifier, but this is, right. As you can see, senior reporter.
Remember, it's all lies, though, right?
It's all lies. That's obviously a public-facing address for people to contact her. So
yes.
We hid the anything
personal email.
Personal, yes. I wanted to clarify because people see an email address and it's like, no, that's her BuzzFeed account, and people can.
And this is in her about section on it. The senior reporter at BuzzFeed News investigator. So this is this is in her front for.
But I mean, you see the problem with these details when you sign up. If you have enough information about somebody, and then on top of that, asking for passports and other stuff with video verification.
Her about section, and again, even with her avatars. But here, as you can see, her information is here. You can get all of her information and her personal email. So this is, and again, Ellie Hall is a big Bouzy supporter and, big for BuzzFeed, but here it is. So this is their information. here's another one. Robert Reich.
Right.
He was He's a former United States Secretary of Labor.
You actually have quite a few politicians there. This is what you have. What's scary about people like a Bouzy isn't just the lies. I mean, a scammer is bad enough, but a scammer with the backing of mainstream and political people, whether they are former or they are current, they are both there. You think about the damage they can have done. See, one of the conversations about the Amber Heard trial, for example, you had politicians sounding off that wanted to change the way that we could discuss cases. They wanted you and I not to be able to have a voice, not to be able to have an opinion, because us being able to watch something live and to give our opinions, that's somehow not free speech. It was insane to hear.
Under Clinton, yeah.
And his information is all out there. So yeah, so everyone seems like everyone on that site's information is available for public consumption.
And it'll be sold.
And if you have signed up, we can probably pull yours up too.
Sure. I mean, it's a matter of searching particular areas, and it's all there.
There's no encryption, no nothing. Here's another one. Remember Archwell? We've found they have stuff for them too.
This is a reservation. It appears that we found an Archwell account. So we're not saying that they signed up. It appears that Bouzy is reserving the name for them. And also Meghan Markle, there's a reserve for Meghan with a username, obviously, so she doesn't have to have the full Meghan Markle, just be
Meghan Markle or other people to come on there because, he did a favor. Isn't that fascinating? He's reserved their names. I mean, you wonder how much trade-off as he's done. When you pop up in that Netflix thing about that, did he do a trade-off saying, hey, maybe we can get a public profile for that? He said me talking to Adam Waldman negates my opinion. So if he's making backroom deals with people or accepting money, how the fuck doesn't that negate anything that he ever said?
And that's her account. So these are reserved. We're not making the claims that they actually signed up. We're saying that allowances were made or reservations were made. So there's already a username should they want them.
Now, the crazy part about this is that remember, they said there's hundreds of journalists signed up, all these people have hired, and all their information is just out there.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've got some of the most hated people out there. He leaked all of their information. Whoopsie. And it's all going to be sold. It will be, because that's the way this stuff happens. It's not just that you have a leak, but you have a leak. And all of it, like I said, it all just comes crashing out in public. It's just crazy. But anyway, I thought that would be a good topic for today. And I think they both were. We will continue monitoring this kind of insanity. There are other things that have been going on too. I posted something as well. So I posted something on Locals that you can check out the links in the chat here. You should be able to just look this up. But on Locals, so there was a Grifty award for AH. I did a video on it, but the Grifties, they have an auto claim system, so you can't put any footage whatsoever into it. So I had to remake my entire video because you don't find that out until the end. So I redid that entire video, and it didn't have any video footage. Well, I had the video with all of that in it, so I posted that over on Locals if you want to check that out. We also, there's the Camille Vasquez stuff. Apparently, there's there were new articles that came out about that. You had the targeting of DEP witnesses that have been ran off of Twitter now. They've been targeted to that point. There's just a lot of insanity that is going on. There's just so much stuff that goes on. I'm like, man, how do you pack everything in? You can do deep dives. You can do topical overviews. Like a lot of people will just look at a topic and do an overview. Like I don't like to do that. I like to cover something until I feel like I'm done with it. You know? So I'll talk about it for a hot minute. And there are a lot of topics though that are out there every single day. But I mean, it's just crazy stuff. Snugglestroke, thanks for the 10. Bouzy, Turd, Blue, Meghan Markle, Liz Cheney, Taylor Lorenz, Patrice. These malicious evil, the malicious evil would be immediately exposed if conversation or argument was allowed in public forum once more. Indeed, you know, that's the problem. If you think that what happens right now on Twitter, or you think the problems on Twitter before were an issue, imagine someone like a Bouzy in control. Especially if the person's being used as a willing political puppet or willing, you know, Hollywood or social puppet. I mean, they don't even hide the fact. They buzzword it out, but they don't even hide the fact of what they are. Mystified, thanks for the 10 there. Did you see the registration video they're required from Spoutable? You hold up your ID or passport. Yeah, I put that in there for sure. That's crazy, isn't it? Like they wanted your passport. That's nuts. What's up, Eagle Rider? Thanks for the 2 there. Tug, Romer Gell. I appreciate you guys so much. Yeah, I've known you for a hot minute too. You know, Eagle Rider, good people, had medical issue. Like it was very worrying. I'm glad you got to actually rest, do something. That was nuts. I mean, that was nuts to see. But anyway, I don't know what we'll do tomorrow. Tonight, let me put this in here too. So tonight, go to Flashcast. You want to hear about the Eliza Bleu stuff. It should be pretty interesting. There are going to be some people there. Well, we'll see who shows, but anybody that has been directly impacted by this stuff, I think he invited quite a few folks on. So we may have some fascinating conversation. And I don't know who will show, but I'm sure some folks will show. I'd like to hear from Brittany Venti. I don't know if she will be there or not. I know Anna, that Star Wars girl, you know, she's definitely part of it. I'm hoping, I know Legal Mindset's in a different time zone, so we'll see what happens with that. Chrissy Mayer, hopefully she'll pop up. But I mean, again, there may be a lot of people that have conversation about that too. Hey, Nate, thanks for the 5 there. The Quartering posted and removed a post regarding Cassandra Fairbanks and her porn past. Cassandra has locked her account and he deleted tweets. Huh. You know, I walk a fine line between, for myself, I don't particularly like for other people, for a deep dive, I like to know everything about a subject. So I'm not faulting anybody for this. For myself though, like you don't really, if it pertains to the conversation, like somebody has a porn past or, you know, like how does that work in with child exploitation or, you know, like for example, Brittany Venti, 100% hates porn in any way, shape, or form. So she questions any advocate that pops up and says, hey, they had this background. I think that's a fair question. For me, when I'm doing a deep dive, though, I think we all have had, like, I've totally discussed the fact that I had a heavy addiction past, you know, and people will use that stuff against you, you know, and that's just something you've done. Now, does that link to Cassandra Fairbanks and this discussion? I don't know how that pertains. Like, I mean, again, it may show who they are, but you know, I don't know. Maybe he deleted it because he didn't think it was tactful. I'm not really sure. Maybe he got blowback for it. The quartering of old would say whatever was on his mind, you know. And these days, he's learned some more tact. Again, I have nothing against Jeremy. In fact, Jeremy, on the opposite, like Jeremy has been pretty decent with myself, and I appreciate it. You know, I appreciate, even when we disagree. Even we've stood polar opposites on topics before. I've totally disagreed with him on stuff, but he's, in fact, there was some argument on Flashcast once about the Frosk thing, with G4. With that though, hey, you're allowed to have opposite opinions. The problem becomes when you're not allowed to have those opinions. I think that's what was so scary about the stuff that we're seeing on Twitter. It's not even, there's the question of what Eliza Bleu is doing, but the question almost, it relates to her lies. That's where you went down now, but the first parts of that didn't even relate to her, if you know what I mean, Anyway, let's see. I know some really good advocates that have, there's an organization, I don't want to link them in any way myself because it would cause them problems, I'm sure. But I know a really good advocate for kids that has a prostitution and much more. I think they did porn and everything else. They had a very their own description, a dark past, I would say, because they talked about it in terms of exploitation. But the very thing that makes them such a good advocate is their ability to get into those spaces where there is child exploitation. They understand how it works. So sometimes some of that stuff works. Now, Cassandra Fairbanks wouldn't necessarily be involved in that. But anyway, thanks for the 2 there and the thumbs up. Thank you for that. Also, Ticked Turmoil Potato, thanks for the 10 and the thank you. Appreciate that too. Let's see if there's anything. I saw the video on Twitter, Marco's thread. Yeah. Who is Eliza Bleu again? That's the person we talked about at the beginning. That's she is a self-proclaimed trafficking advocate, but she is also a self-proclaimed trafficking survivor. The initial questions, now she has a lot of past, and you had Brittany Venti, the YouTuber, ask her a question on how does this past relate to trafficking? There was a specific video from World Star Hip Hop. It was let's just say it was very revealing. That's the way to go. It was a typical rap video. Yeah. And you had Brittany Venti take some screenshots, and she said, how does this work in with your claims of being trafficked? And if you've answered that before, apologies. I mean, was it coercion, etc.? So it's a question, a basic question. And she got suspended by Twitter for it. She got suspended for quote unquote non-consensual photographs, according to Eliza Bleu herself. And this came from a video that had been up for 6 long years on YouTube. It'd been there for 6 years. Then Twitter started banning other people, including the quartering. The quartering was like, so Eliza Bleu I also said she was going to sue people. She was going to sue for it. So the quartering was like, well, sue me too. And he got taken down. He had to remove his pictures. He had to remove the link to the video. And they started using the same safeguard technology that's supposed to be used to scrub child exploitation off Twitter. They started scrubbing it all off of that link off of YouTube. Like that, they try to memory hole it. Now, then they started scrubbing other things, like jokes about Eliza Bleu. Like if somebody talked about her hair color, or they talked about, they made a meme out of her, anything, stuff that went beyond that. They also scrubbed links to interviews and more. They banned quite a few people, some of them perma-banned, including there was one guy who did a discussion about Eliza Bleu that talked about her past, that talked about her timelines not working out because he knew her at the time. And he was the first person to put that together comprehensive. That was DeFango, and he ended up getting banned for putting that together, and also questioning the head of trust and safety. He made a joke about the rules for the Twitter trust and safety, and he got banned. I think they had a bullseye on him to ban him anyway, but he definitely got banned for questioning trust and safety. So, I mean, when you get into it, That's Eliza, and there's a lot more. There's a Daily Beast article that they politically spin it, and they tell you a few things. It's about 85% correct, I'd say, but that 85% is damning, and you should read that if you need a breakdown. I did a video or a live stream on that, but I think it does a good job breaking that subject down. Anyway, all right. Well, you should show up tonight, though, for Flashcast. I think it'll be fun. And I'm done with that, actually. I think we are golden by now. So, yeah. I think I covered everything. I appreciate you folks, though. You are the best, and we will see what we do tomorrow. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll do live streams. Maybe we'll have videos. I'm not really sure. But anyway, appreciate you. Gonna end here. See ya.